Hello, I'm doing this video to show the install, or at least the easy way to do it, for installing the SPD Turbo Adapters on a 2017 Raptor Ecoboost. Excuse my voice, I'm coming down off of a cold, so try and speak up if I can. Now this is for a 2017 Raptor that I installed these turbo adapters on, but I have experience on the 2015 Ecoboost and removing the downpipes. The process really is not that different. I imagine that you could probably install them just as easy on a 2015 or 2016 Ecoboost, all the same, namely without removing the downpipes. And if you know anything about it, it's a really big pain in the butt to remove the downpipes, and I'd hate to do all that just to slide something out and slide something back in. So I'm going to outline the way to do it. I'm not going to go through very many details and show you wrenching on the truck. Just show you and pinpoint the things that you need to look at. I do want to say that before you start any of this, it probably depends on how many miles are on your truck. This one has 780 miles, so the parts are fairly uncorroded. I imagine that if I tried to do this on my 2015 Ecoboost with 15,000 miles, it probably would be a lot more difficult, but doable nonetheless, as long as you have the proper tools. They're not particularly that special, save for a stud extractor, which I'll show you. That here's a collection of about the tools that you would need to do this job. Not particularly an extensive set of tools that you need, but a few things to note that most people don't have. Really a large breaker bar 3/8 ratchet. These wobbly extensions, it's really important that you're able to get a curve to try and get around the catalytic converters to get to the turbo studs and bolts. May not have a torch, definitely going to need that. But in general, a pair of vice grips, 10mm ratcheting wrench, 14mm deep socket, and at least a couple 15mm, either short socket or long sockets, 13mm. I had this adapter here for a 3/8 to 1/2 inch socket set, but at first I tried to use the stud extractor that you can buy from SPD. I did not have good success with it. I ended up doing this to one of the turbo studs I tried to get out of the turbo. That turned my maybe hour and a half job into about 4 or 5 hours, as I needed to try and figure out a different way to get it out. I would recommend going with this stud extractor that you can find at Oreilly's. It's the only place I found it, but this works really well. I would imagine if I had to do this all over again, I could probably get it down to 45 minutes or so. Pair of gloves, impact wrench, releasing fluid or some sort of loose juice. Obviously ramps, if you're going to get out of the truck, or at least some way to get under the truck. I must say that I do recommend buying the installation kit that SPD offers with the turbo adapters. You could probably get away with just probably going down to Ford and grabbing the studs themselves. You can probably reuse the gaskets in between the hot side of the turbo and the adapters. You could probably reuse the nuts, but I believe that when I did my 2015 F-150 and I smoked one of these studs trying to get the downpipes off, I think these are $12, maybe. So if you don't want to spend $95 on the installation kit, I understand. Just know that you will essentially destroy the studs coming out of the turbo when you are trying to release the turbo adapter, especially that one. That one sucked. In the video, you will hear me talk about putting a little bit of heat into the studs and the nuts on top of the studs. I misspoke. You will have to put a lot of heat, at least for the studs, getting them out of the hot-sided turbo. I don't know, maybe this stud extractor would have worked if I got the hot-sided turbo a little hotter. First I was trying somewhere around 300 degrees through the laser thermometer. It didn't quite work out, so I ended up bringing it up to about 550 degrees. And they still took a little while to get out, but comparatively so, they popped out, especially with this guy here. So use lots of heat, especially if your car has some miles on it. Like I said, my truck only has 780 miles on it. Anyway, got all this stuff in the back, so I have a Oreilly exhaust coming in. It should be in today, so it could be going on the truck tomorrow. No need to put all my stuff back just yet. I'd also recommend that you, if you're going to get a torch for this job, get the one with the hose on it. It works pretty good to reach up there and get into the right areas to heat, especially on the hot side of the turbo when you're trying to remove the old studs. Something like this just doesn't work. Not that it doesn't put out heat, but the fact that it directly connects to the can really causes an issue when you're trying to get up next to the turbos. Now, BDS does include this stud remover with the kit. It's worthless for trying to remove these studs, but works pretty good for putting the studs back in. Get the black under tray off for a skid plate. It's 413 millimeter bolts, 210 millimeter bolts. Get a pretty good look at the outlet of the turbos. So what we'll do is we'll just get a little bit of heat on those bolts and see if we can crack them loose from here. On the left side and the right side. Give it a shot. These two nuts off. You'll be able to slide the retaining ring off the downpipe and get access to the studs holding the turbo adapter on. Oh, that's hot. On the passenger side, got the starter in the way, a little bit more sensitive wiring, so watch out heating this area, but these are 15 millimeter bolts, by the way, on the downpipe, so we'll get to those. Done. So I've disconnected both those 15 millimeter bolts off the back end of the turbo. The exhaust is hanging by the aft hangers. What I've done, I've loosened this heat shield to get a little bit better angle access to that top bolt there, the top stud. To go up over the catalytic converter. A couple wobbly extensions and a deep socket. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to apply some heat to the turbo adapter and see if I can get those studs to move with the stud extractor. So the studs on the back side of the turbo are now gone on both sides. I'm using a ratchet strap to pull the exhaust back.
try to link into an investigation that we don't really know.
Certainly a lot bigger.
That in itself is pretty scary, because the fact is, if they don't know that, then what else?
Putting the studs in, the adapters. I'm just using the ratchet. This exhaust is shifted when moving it back, so I'm just using the ratchet to move the exhaust back forward. Do this video not to really dispel anything that you might read about the turbo adapters. I intend to go catless at some point. I did on my 2015 F-150. People might argue that there might be some downpipe offerings that eliminate the need for the turbo adapter. I'm kind of questioning why didn't they do that before, but I'm sure there'll be other offerings that do utilize the stock turbo adapters, so I want to get it done with just 780 miles on it, so it wouldn't be too difficult, and I want to show you can do this in your driveway, no problem. I don't see the need to really go out and spend $200 on an exhaust shop if you don't need to. Other than some tent and a truck bed cover. This is the first power mod that I've done. I can tell the difference just getting on the highway and generally driving around. I think I believe it improves the drivability a bit. It doesn't seem like it lurches or has as many issues of making it smooth driving around town with these new adapters. I'm going to have a Borla exhaust S-type coming. Should be here by today. It'll be on the truck tomorrow, and I'll make another video installing that. And anyway, that's the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments or advice, or if you need advice, let me know, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Sorry it's a dirty truck, but as soon as I get the exhaust on it, I will make sure to clean it up and post up another video.